Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today we have our latest Reel in the Bag project. This is a Penn Senator. It is the 113H40. This one came in from Robert. I believe he started the project, and well, probably got a little in over his head, and now has asked me if I can't help him out getting this reel serviced and back together again. So we're going to try and do just that for you. We'll give you some tips on reel in the bag projects. Maybe you find one at a flea market. Maybe you take one apart and you're stuck. And we'll try and get you unstuck in the process of how you do this. And we'll give you some tips along the way. Well, if you like these kinds of videos, I would ask you to subscribe to my channel. If you do subscribe to my channel, please use the notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting. And well, you'll get to make a determination as to whether that's a video you would like to watch. I work on all kinds of fishing reels. A lot of times you'll see saltwater reels because, well, that's close to where we are on the mid-Atlantic seaboard. But, you know, not all of my work comes in from my customers that are local. I've been getting an awful lot of folks sending in reels because they've watched the YouTube videos. I think that's what Robert's done. And, well, I get quite a variety as a result of that. Well, this reel is a lot of dirt on it. It probably was time for service. And one of the things you want to do as you work on your reels, you just don't want to put it back together again and hand it back off. You want to make sure that it's serviced properly. You want to make sure it's cleaned, because a lot of your annual service should be a cleaning of the reel, a parts inspection, a replacement of broken parts, and, well, a good re-grease, re-oil, re-lube, so that the reel can keep on fishing without giving you any trouble. This is a later generation of the Penn 113. These started as black-sided reels, and then they went to a high-speed version. That's the H in the 113H, means high speed, and that's what this one is. They moved over to the red side plates, and you've had 3 iterations on the red side plates. This is the latest of the iterations. The first one you had was simply 5 cross posts. The next one involved a partial frame, like a half frame, and separate crossbars. This would be separate from the reel seat. And then the last one is, well, it's this one. It's the half moon frame, where the mid crossbars are integrated into the piece. So if you're trying to date when your Penn Senator was made, if it has the 5 crossbars on it, that's the earliest one. And if you have the half frame like this, that's the latest version of them. And if it has black side plates, well, black side plates on the 113, not the 113H, would be the earliest of all versions. Senators were one of the first reels that were introduced by Penn, so that dating can be quite a span. All right, well, this is an example of what you want to do when you're cleaning. You've got a pile of grease and the like all coagulated on the spool. You want to get rid of that. And when I do this, I like to get rid of it with the softest material I can in terms of wiping down in that. And I'm going to be trying to use a degreaser. That's a penetrating oil, and a paper towel. I'd like to do that before I get any more aggressive if needed to be. Well, when you do this spool, you want to make sure that you clear these shoulders. There's 2 flat shoulders on this, one on each side, and that's going to hold the pinion gear. And if you've got a pile of old grease and the like in there, you're going to have trouble with it. Okay, let's see what's in the bag. One of the best things to do if you don't have a knowledge of the reel, and I'm going to plead guilty here, I have a knowledge of the reel, but if you don't have a knowledge of the reel, the first thing you want to do is go to the internet and get the schematic for the reel. Now, those schematics, among other places, are available at mysticparts.com, and you can go get them. And then you compare the pieces and parts that you have to the burst diagram. That'll tell you whether anything's missing. You can write right on it, print it off on a piece of paper, write right on it, and just check off as you go to make sure. Now I'm doing that with a mental checklist. And quite honestly, if you can service any of the Penn reels, if you can service a Jig Master, if you can service a Long Beach reel, maybe a Pier reel, or any of the common conventional reels, you can service pretty much all of them. The pieces and parts are very similar, the design is very similar, and well, the only thing that really changes is really the size of the reel and some things that like the number of drag washers in a reel, or the location of the anti-reverse dog, or things like that. But for the most part, the process is the same. So if you're watching this, know that if you master this one, you can pretty much service any Penn reel that's out there. And that's from the old ones to the new ones. They've pretty much maintained their design points and pretty much have used the same pieces and parts or variations on it that are not very different. All right, well, we got rid of a lot of that old grease. I see that Robert took the eccentric and the eccentric spring out and the like, so we'll be searching for that along the way. One of the things to note, if you've got the reel but it's not in pieces and parts, is that you're going to have to remove that trim ring before you can remove the bridge. All right, one of these screws came out of the side plate. There's one more we'll be looking for. Two of the screws are fully threaded. The first two we took out are partially threaded. Those go up top. They are the yoke spring connectors. Make sure you have a handle. That's always good. What I like to do when I get to something like this, which is a little bit more oxidized and film on it and the like, I'm going to use a chrome polish and a piece of steel wool. Now that's the most aggressive I will get. This is a 4-0 steel wool piece, and we'll use that to get rid of some of the corrosion on there. 4-0 steel wool is essentially a buffing type one. It's aggressive, but it's not very aggressive. But it will help, as you can see, it will help get some of that old stuff off of there if you spend the time and the effort to do that. There's no sense taking a reel apart and not cleaning it just because you're trying to solve a particular issue. All right, here's your adjuster on here. I don't know what went wrong on this, but somebody really got to bend that piece quite a bit. Maybe it hit a deck lid or that. I'm not sure. But something got jammed up. And then this one is always interesting to me. I'm not sure. It looks like somebody epoxied something on here. So we're gonna have some fun with this one, but that does not belong there. And I'm gonna see if we can get that off. Yeah, that's epoxy. Well, I don't know why they put that on there. As long as we have the space to adjust the washers, we'll be okay, but that does not belong on that particular piece. Actually, I'm going to see what this is a 349. I don't think I have one of those. I was going to say if I had one of those, I would replace it. But the 349 is the Mariner set, and you can interchange the parts. As I mentioned, not only does the design stay the same, but you can interchange some parts as well. I'll take a look a little bit later. I don't think I have that. The other thing that's kind of concerning about this is the downside of the piece. That's the upside. I'm going to bet that it went on this way. It's not that's just a cosmetic issue. All right, now I'm getting concerned because I have two handles. Maybe Robert sent me 4 Senators. Maybe there's another one in there that doesn't have a handle. I'm going to need to connect with him to find out. Maybe he's asking for one of the handles to be changed over. I'm not sure. These are balanced handles, but they're a little bit different. This gives you the extra lever point. This one will line up with the first one, I think, right? Well, it lines up right in the middle. There you go. And I'm thinking if I'm looking at this, that may not even be the right one for the reel. All right, we'll find out. All right, now you want to start doing your mental inventory here. I'll try and break that down for you. We have a bridge assembly. I'm not sure. That's an eyelet. So we got a lot of stuff going on here. This is an eyelet from a fishing reel, a fishing rod, It looks like it broke off on the seams. I don't know why that's in the bag. This bridge appears to be complete. Dirty and greasy and grimy and all, but it is complete. This is probably the old style with the asbestos washers inside of it, but we know that's complete. We need an anti-reverse dog. We have that. We have our jack, and we are missing pieces and parts. That's what I was afraid of. All right, so I'm going to have to connect with Robert and find out where the rest of this stuff went, and probably have to order some pieces and parts along the way. So there's a couple of oddball screws in here that don't belong in here. There's a some kind of a tap screw. There's that piece from the eyelet. Not sure what that piece is, or this piece, or this piece, or that piece. We have, so here's the mental inventory, and this is where the schematics work. You need a yoke and a pinion gear. That would be for this. This is the jack that will hold the yoke and pinion gear down, but it's not here. We have an eccentric that's going to provide the free spool in here, but we don't have the eccentric spring that goes there. This is the yoke spring, but there's two of them. We only have one. This is our eccentric backside. This is the lever that'll fit on there, but we don't have the lever screw that's going to hold it in place. This is the top washer for the piece. This is a grounding wire, probably from a 56 Chevy. No, I'm only kidding. I have no idea what it is. That's a wire connector that has nothing to do with this particular reel. And we have an old set here, and I'm just going to see if I can take this off. Probably can't, because I'm looking, there's an awful lot of grease and junk and the like. That probably will prevent me from getting this apart. Well, if you have any questions on this reel, I have a lot of questions on it, or any reel in particular. If you leave those questions in the comment section, I will try to answer that for you. Most of the time, the reel in a bag projects I get is because somebody opened them up and, well, said it was above their pay grade or something and stopped. In this case, I think maybe somebody opened it up and maybe it wasn't the current owner, and then somebody made either a gift or something to it that says good luck with it. And there's all kinds of weird stuff going on here. We don't have a drag washer there. Okay, this is going to take more work than the video time that I have on this thing to get this one started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the main gear, the drag assembly. I'm going to find out what kind of washers are in there. If I have the old asbestos washers in there, we're going to ask Robert if he wants to upgrade that to the modern 10 washer set. It's recommended to do that. You get much more max drag out of it, and you don't have the problems with performance or slipping. And we'll just figure it all out. I'll go order the right parts if that's what he would like to do, and I'll put that reel back together again. So what did we learn? I like to think that there's something we can take away from this. The first one is, if you're doing it yourself, please keep control of the pieces and parts as you take them off the reel. You should have a system for handling the parts that you remove so that you can have a system for reinstalling them correctly. The second thing we learned is, if you happen to buy one of these, that you need to figure out what's right or what's wrong, what's there or what's missing in the reel. And the best way to do that is by gathering a schematic and then doing your passes against that schematic to determine what is or what isn't in the reel. That's always important. And then the next one is to determine which ones may have worn parts, like this, that are going to need to be replaced, in addition to the pieces that are missing, like this screw, like the yoke, like the pinion gear, like the spring for the anti-reverse dog, the yoke spring over here, and the like. So do the full inventories. It'll save you trouble on it. And finally, if you're thinking about buying one of these, if somebody says, oh, I have a reel for sale, the more you know, the better off you're going to be. I could probably do the same thing I did here on a table at a flea market and do a quick inventory to figure out what's there or what's not there. You may not. So one of the things you might want to do if you find yourself with the opportunity to buy a nice reel like this at a discounted price because, well, it's apart in pieces, it's not ready to go fishing, you make sure that you go for the lowest price you can if you really want it. And if you don't know how to do this kind of stuff, don't be afraid to walk away from the reel, because this one can get expensive. Those pinion gears are $15 or $20. The yoke, I mean, the missing parts alone are probably going to be $30 or $35 to this reel. And the upgrade on the drag system is probably going to be another $12. So you're probably looking at $30 or $40 or more in order to make this reel whole. And quite honestly, you can find these reels in working condition in certain places, used markets and the like, for $40 or $50. So the question is, do you want to put that time and effort and energy into something and have a known quantity, or do you just want to buy a replacement reel and kind of chalk something like this up to, well, maybe an experience? Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. This has been kind of a fun thing. I want to share another side of what you see when you do try to work on other people's reels. They don't all come in perfect and just needing oil and grease. And sometimes, well, sometimes you're faced with more challenges than maybe the reel is worth. So, to our first responders and essential personnel, thank you for everything it is that you do to keep us safe. I do appreciate your efforts. To everyone, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.